Good afternoon. How are y'all doing today? My name is Beth Koulis. I'm the Publications Officer for the College of Criminal Justice. I'm the one that sends you all those messages saying that there's great events like we have here today. So welcome to Real Talk. This is a series where we bring in professionals from the field to talk about their experience in their position and to provide you tips on how to get a job in the field. So today we have Detective Darcus Shorten. She's with the Houston Homicide Division, the cold case unit. She's been in the Houston Homicide Division since 1995. Before being in the Homicide Division, she started out in Central Patrol. She also served in the Traffic and Accident Division. She worked in the Juvenile Division, both with juvenile suspects and later with the physical and sexual abuse of children. And in the Homicide Division, she's worked in the Family Violence Unit as well as the Murder Squad. So she has a lot of exciting stories to tell you about her job in the Homicide Division. And let's give her a warm round of applause, please.
Thank you, Beth. Wow. Thank you guys for just having an interest in what we do at the Houston Police Department and actually what I do. The ultimate career. I didn't know how to present any of this because it's a job, and it's a job that I love, and it's a job that I'm dedicated to. She told you a little bit about my past and how I came and joined patrol and went to juvenile sex crimes. But you know something, guys? I think life and your career is a transition of your spirit. I really do. I mean, I went to the Bakey High to go to nursing, and I ended up being a police officer because of the desire and the goal and the admiration that I had for law enforcement. And taking those steps took me from one aspect of life to totally something different. Being in patrol is probably where you would start if you were come to be a part of the Houston Police Department, because that's your learning curve. That's where you get your groundwork from. But then from that point, I decided, I want to train. So I actually went back and was a field trainer. There are 3 phases, A, B, and C. A, that means you're on days. B, you come on evenings or night, and C, you go on nights or evenings. Well, I was the evening shift trainer, and teaching young cadets how to make reports, how to be safe, how to handle a scene was very, very uplifting. Again, that learning curve, where are we and what we want our ultimate desire to be. In the police department, especially with Houston, there are so many things that you can do, from mounted patrol to vice to narcotics to gangs. You pick it, you could do it. If you dream it, you can do it. And that's the most awesome thing about being a police officer, is that you have the ability to do what your lifelong desire is. Don't do like I did. I was asked to go to vice. And if you know anything about vice, we're talking about selling alcohol to minors. We're talking about prostitution. We're talking about, I want to say, the grum and the nastiness of what we deal with in society. So normally, when you get out of the academy, and you're female, especially an African-American female, what they're doing, they're looking for a young, fresh face. Why? Because that's the face they want to go out to make cases. I wasn't very good at it. So my partner said, yeah, I have her do this, and that for $20. I came straight out of undercover. I'm like, you gonna do what? You gonna sell me for $20? No. But it just shows you, it's a career for everyone. I eventually made a gut decision that I wanted to be a homicide detective. And that is really a very, very deep gut decision in what we do. understand it's a little bit difficult to talk about your career and talk about what you do and not tell you the truth and give you the specifics. So please apologize. I apologize for having sensitive material, but not so where it's not bearable. But understand where I'm coming from. Understand what I see, what I deal with on a daily basis. In homicide, we deal with the worst of the worst. We closely work with our crime scene unit. And what is your crime scene unit? That's CSI. That's what you see all the time. They actually go out and help process the scene. We work hand in hand with them. One of the major things that we do homicide. If you die and your death was attributed to the fact that you were killed, and we can prove that some type of foul play occurred, then that's what homicide will do. We come in and do the investigation. We also do child deaths. We're not talking about SIDS. We're talking about literally the death of a child. Now we're talking about kidnapping. If someone takes an individual beyond their will and hold them, whether or not it's to, I love you and nobody else can have you, or ransom, homicide gets involved. We also do officer-involved shootings, and we see it a lot. We see it in Ferguson. If you see where an officer had to discharge his or her firearm, and the cause of what he did has caused harm or death to that individual, that's what we do. We actually investigate it. And then we also do cold cases. We see the first 48 hours. It's entertaining. I wish that I could solve that quickly, what they do. But a lot of it, I think, is edited. But the real 48 hours, the real structure of what we do is not easy. Now, you get a case where an individual shoots another person, a road rage, and you have the victim there, and you have the suspect there. Well, yeah, it'll be done in 48 hours because you have what? You have both parties. You have the dead person, and you also have the individual that was actually killed. But in retrospect, these cases are not always easy. They're very, very difficult. And you have to put a lot of process and a lot of work into it. But that's the gratifying part about it. That's the tease that I like. That's the force that actually drives me, to be able to locate and find and bring justice to an individual. Listen, there's a saying that we speak for the dead. And in a lot of ways, we do. To be able to walk into a crime scene, one of the most hideous environments that you'll ever be. There's one person that can tell you what happened, and that person is deceased. You see that yellow line, right? Say, do not cross. It could be 2 o'clock in the evening, and I'll go underneath that cross, underneath that yellow line. And what I see and what people behind me see are two different things, because I've entered into an evil zone. And that's one of the reasons why I talk and I lecture and I speak about good and evil. Go to church, read your Bibles, understand the Lord, understand the passion, but why? My whole question is always, why? I got a 17-year-old African-American male who had an aspiration to be a rapper. Handsome. Name was Marcus. Where's this evilness coming from? Marcus has a good friend. The good friend says, whatever you need, you know, Marcus, I'm always there for you, because he knew he had lost his mother. So he calls him. He said, look, man, I need to borrow some money. He said, sure, I won't be home until a certain time. 3 o'clock, I'll be home. I'll be there. What are you going to do with this? I'm going to the pawn shop to buy a mic because I'm going to be a rapper. Very talented young man. He makes it to his apartment. Mom opens the door, said, my son is not here yet. He's out with his dad, but he'll be home shortly. Have a seat and wait for him, son. She knows him. They got to school together. Where is this evilness coming from? Mom works nights as a nurse. So she's in her bed. It's daytime. And boy, I tell you, she has a love of God in her. She had a Bible in the bed with her, reading it. So she hears this rumbling. She gets up. You know, Marcus, you okay? And she don't see him. She goes to the bedroom. Back then, PlayStations were big. She see the PlayStations, see the cartridges. Say, what are you doing, son? You're not trying to steal. And where does the evilness come from? Where does it come from? You're going to get the money. She said he's late. They're on their way. You're going to get your mic. Where does it come from? You play all this stuff in your head, so I'm looking at Mom, and I'm trying to figure out the crime scene. Something say, look back in the kitchen. I look in the kitchen, I see the blocks, the butcher blocks where you keep all your knives. One is missing, the smallest one inside the block. But it was just something strange about Mom. Where's this evilness coming from? She wasn't laying correctly, because what he did, he had wrapped the phone cord around her neck. Where is it coming from? Why is it so much evilness in this? You could take it, go, you don't have to do all of that. Medical examiner comes, and it's time now. I've been there for 6 hours or so processing the scene. It's time to move the body. Body goes, head stays. Where is this evilness coming from? Why do we have to do this? Why? I already got a name, because the son comes in, the dad comes in. Well, Marcus had to have been here, because Marcus said mother wouldn't open the door for anyone else but Marcus. We got phone, so we kind of have an idea of what we have. You got the suspect. You know he did it, but why? It bothers me. Where's the evilness come from? Interrogation. Got him in a box. He's not talking. I got pawn shop records, video cameras with you going in with the pawn shop, with the stuff in your hand, so we know it's you. I don't even need your confession. But it sure would help to know what. Why? Detective Shorten, I'll tell you why if you let me rap. Okay, that's a first. I gave him my pen. Mind you, the video camera is right there because we're recording it. He stood up there and he rapped a whole song for me. Beautiful lyrics. He said, I can't tell you why. The only thing that was in my mind is that I wanted that what? That mic. I said, but Marcus, you were gonna get it, baby. Either way it go. My question is, why did you have to decapitate her? Why did you cut off her head, son? You're just 17 years old. Miss Shorten? Yes. I just wanted that mic. That's the evilness that bothers me in the whole totality of what we do. And it's good. If you solve it in 48 hours, that's great. I'm thinking you may miss something, because it takes some time to get things done. Evidence process. But that's one example of many where I try to gain an understanding. Well, what all of this have to be about the ultimate career with a bird singing? What I'm telling you is that this is a great journey. You pick which journey you would like to go. You may be a great vice. You may be good in helicopters. You may be great in mounted patrol. But whatever decision that you make, the opportunities are there. You just pick which direction you would like to go to. Again, like we talk, I have to talk about what I do now and the passion that I have for it. Do we speak for the dead? Yes, we have to bring some closure. Closure to that individual spirit, closure to the family. I left them, let's go back to how homicide was. Homicide was a big division when I came. So you had the murder squad here, then you have sex crimes, family violence, major assault, crime scene. Well, when I was accepted into the division, they didn't send me directly to the murder squad. Wasn't ready yet. They knew I wasn't ready yet. I probably thought I was. It was 80 applicants. I was number one on the list. I'm ready. Nope, you're not. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to send you this to family violence, which, again, remember the transition in life. I couldn't take being told that I'm worth $20 to do all that man wanted me to do. So I knew that wasn't me, okay? But in my heart, I knew I wanted to do something different. So homicide, that's it. That's my passion. But sending me to family violence. What is family violence? Acts against loved ones. Anyone that's in a family unit where violence is going on, from husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, relationships, that's what I investigated. And it helped me process things differently and understand. I had no idea in 2001, not yet in the murder squad, but I kept hearing about Andrea Yakes. And I don't know you guys were old enough to know how she took away all of her children. One by one by one. Where does this evilness come from? Homeschool. Good mother. Where does it come? Where does it come? How ironic, I get to homicide. And my first case is a child. Not like Andrea Yakes with multiple children, but one. Transition, the thought process. How did I get from where I started to where I would like to go to where I am now? Is it supposed to be like this? Is it just a coincidence? Or is it a guided effect? Two little boys riding their bikes. Thought they saw a doll in the water. This is my first case. Now hear about what happened with the Andrea Yakes case. Who would have known? It wasn't a doll. Six years old, wrapped in a blanket. So, mind you, I've never made a homicide scene ever. When I was talking to you guys about markers, I wanted to illustrate what I went through as I went on. All of these cases are now what the individuals that I'm dealing with as I go on in my career. This was number one. And they say, you'll never forget the first one you made. We dubbed her name Angel Doe. Who's missing a 6-year-old child? Nobody could tell us. So we have what we call a sketch artist. And that sketch artist did a depiction of what she thought the child would look like based on a picture of her face. Now, mind you, if you're in a bed of water and it's hot, what happens? The soft tissue is what? No eyes, no nose, no ears, no lips, because what happens is that that's the first thing that the insects look at. That's the first thing that they're attracted to. And that's just an immature form of decomposition, okay? So this is what we think she looked like. We knew she had a cracked tooth. I was excited about the mere fact that a step was made. No missing juveniles. Everything was going standard. Now I got a sketch, so what can I do with that sketch? Put it what? Out to the media, because somebody's missing a 6-year-old child, right? Her name was Race at Night. Couldn't put it out because the building started to fall in 9/11. So I have Lois Gibson that's behind a curtain, because the way she draws, you can't go behind. She's in her own zone. She's looking at this picture with what I told you the way it was, and she's depicting what she looks like. And I kept saying, Lois, stop. She said, I can't. I said, no. Out of all due respect, ma'am, you need to stop. She said, what? Darcus, stop bothering me. I said, no, ma'am, the buildings are falling. She said, what? I said, Miss Lois, stop. I said, you gotta stop. The buildings are falling. (9/11). All of this is happening all at one time. But you know what, guys? We made it through. In 2 different ways, we made it through. Mom confessed. She ended up getting 50 years in prison. Dad, not even her dad, it was the man that lived there, okay? He got life. This is what I'm talking about in regards to where you want to go in your career, the things that you do. I can talk specifically about what I do on a consistent basis. And in a way, you're like, that's just too much, but it is so rewarding to be able to find closure for the dead. It's on Real Detective, Angel Doe. Probably should be online now. You get a chance to see the whole series. It's very, very awesome. Glad that they saw interest in putting it out, because I think it's a very important story. One of the things that is of concern in anything that we do in law enforcement is the obvious abuse against women and children. And it has been consistently a problem. The problems with the abuse against women and abuse against children. Just in 2005 alone, right here in our area, we had 143 women murdered. Just in 1 year, in 2005. And a lot of it is murdered by the hands of their own loved ones. So we're talking family violence being a very crucial part of what we do. If you're in family violence and you work in family violence cases, that is the most important, because you're getting an abuser off the what? You're getting them off the streets. You're getting protective orders against that individual. But if you don't, and it continues to go on, it carries over into homicides. So you're like, well, Detective Shorten, why do they put up with it? There's a lot of reasons why people stay in relationships. It's a lot of reasons why we don't leave. Coercion and threat, isolation, the babies. Your babies are in school, they're in track, they're in band. Yeah, you're beating on me, but I'm going to put up with it because I'm concerned about my babies. So there's a lot of reasons why we stay in these type of relationships. Money, just don't have the finances. The finances are together, they're joint. One bank account, guess who controls everything? Guess who pays the bill? That's how abusers have power and control. And it's difficult for them to leave. And I thought about Ms. Agnes. And even though Ms. Agnes was a proud woman, very self-sufficient, she still was sorry about that, I meant to take this out. She was still dealing with the issues of abuse inside of her home. Beautiful love story. We're talking high school sweethearts, met in high school, dated as teenagers. What's your ultimate dream when you get married? You purchase a home. You have children. You do all the wonderful things in life. But they were having some issues, like any married couple have issues. Infidelity. Went through counseling. He couldn't take it anymore. She had found out about everything, and he could not take it any longer. So he used a shotgun, and he solved the problem himself. He confessed, serving life in prison. Where does this evilness come from? Why is it in our spirit? I battle with that a lot. It's easy to solve the crime, but it sure would help if I could understand why, Marcus, did you do that? Why not tie the cord around? I can understand because the phone was off, okay, but why did you could have left. Gustavo could have left. Could have went to other woman. Could have divorced her. Where is this carryover? And then now I'm seeing that it's getting younger and younger and younger. High school, middle school, cyberbullying. All of these things now, it has expanded the whole concept of how we investigate homicides because we're dealing with social media. We're dealing with so many different variables. So now we have to change the way we investigate. High school students. Okay, she decided that we're in high school, we're 17, I like that boy now, not you. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, that's the whole art of dating, is to be able to go and have individuals that you are friends with. So a boyfriend decided to do a little sneakeroo and make it a kidnapping ransom. So he takes and say, I have your daughter. If you want your daughter back, pay me $50,000. So it comes to us as a kidnapping case. And so when you go into the fact of kidnapping case, all of those places I talked about, CID and all of those individuals are now brought in. The FBI is brought in because now we got a ransom request, and we know we have a missing person because, and mom is showing us evidence that here's the ransom request. Why 50,000? Well, dad in Vietnam has a business. So maybe all of this is, so now you're taking all of these resources, putting them together, because you have what they call now an active kidnapping. Remember at the beginning I said we do what? We do kidnappings, child abduction, Amber Alerts. When you hear that screaming on your phone, she was screaming on a phone because she was missing. So now we got to bring everyone together. We have to, an active kidnapping case with homicide takes on a whole different concept now. Because now we have to deal with phones. We're on a time basis. We're bringing in friends. We're bringing in family. Because the first and most important thing is establishing a what? Timeline. When did it start? When did it what? Stop. So I know now what my gap is, and I branch off from there. So searching the boyfriend's apartment, we find an extra cell phone. Okay, it doesn't look good for him now because now I got this extra cell phone, and you and I interview in an interrogation room crying, and I have all of her friends in another room saying, oh, he's abusive. All she was trying to do is get away from him. CID, if anyone here big in computers, this is a place for you. And this is what they do. They go through search warrants and found out that the service was bandwidth. They knew that it came from Pinger, and Pinger was able to provide us with the discovery of the phone number to go back to a subscriber. So all of this information was very, very helpful, and he took the SIMS card out of one phone and popped it into another phone to throw us off our trail. So luckily and blessedly, we found that other cell phone and connected the fact that that SIM card was used in 2 different phones. He couldn't take no, I don't want to date you. And this is high school, guys. This is high school. This is high school. So I'm in the interrogation room with him. I've downloaded all of his iPad's accounts. I'm showing him videos of them together. He speaks broken English, but I do believe he was understanding me. I put my hand over his heart, and I told him, we need to find her body. There's a storm coming. A bad winter storm is coming. And they called it the perfect storm. It was going to be ice, cold, wind, and rain. I say, son, we got to find her body. He looked at the translator, and he said in Vietnamese, I will tell you if she leaves. I ran out the door. I didn't have no problems getting out because culturally that was an issue. By the time I went around the corner, I saw 3 big detectives running at me. He told us what a body was. I sat in the back seat with Lon. He sat here. I sat on the left side. Translators driving. We never said a word. I did not look at him. He did not look at me. When we got to Broadway, he had drew a map, and I said to myself, self, we're getting close. When he looked up at Broadway, he shivered. That was the first sign of normalcy I ever saw out of him. that's him finally telling us where her body was. He weighed her down. A beautiful angel. Got 50 years in prison. He didn't even want to go to trial. So you go in and you try to figure out again where this evilness is coming from. He said, I heard that the Houston Police Department Homicide Division was good. I didn't tell y'all where her body was because I want to see how good y'all were. Where does this evilness come from? That was his only, and he laughed. So you wonder why these things happen and these things occur. One of the things that I'm now doing is understanding serial killers. I'm very grateful to work with the FBI, and that'll just be a great opportunity for you guys. If you don't go federal to the FBI, you know, get into a good division where you're able to use the resources from the FBI. It is absolutely awesome. And to learn and to develop a mindset as to, again, understanding. And I think that transition that I was telling you, why I end up coming full circle and doing this, because I really wanted to know why. And understanding the behavior of individuals has really helped. And now we are a part of the FBI, Houston Police Department, and ViCAP, and we work with the behavior unit. And it really helps me out and helps other detectives out, because they can come to me and say, can you help explain what the characteristics of what we're looking at now? And we're able to discuss it, because if you know why, you'll be a better investigator. You see what I'm saying? One of the characteristics of a serial killer is that they do things just completely out of a thrill. And that was the East End serial killers with Cubas and Sorto. They had a baby that was with them, Navarro. So it was 3 of them, and all they did were thrill killings, just completely out of a thrill. Thrill went on, killing an ROTC student and taking Laura Lala. She had an assignment, an elementary school assignment. Her mom's house is like, if you turn that, around that post, go a little bit, that's Mama's house. She said, Mom, I'm gonna go to the store to get a paper for my school assignment. She said, I'd never do that. She said, but that day I said, go ahead, go get the paper. So she was gonna cut, something like cutting out and pasting like a bulletin board. And it was a school assignment. They snatched her out of her shoes, left one. All out of a thrill. Her mom still lives in the same house with the same phone number, just in case Alala comes back. Sure, Sorto said, I'll tell you where she's at if you take the death penalty off. Sure, he said, I'll tell you where she's at if you do this, give me some immunity. I think my clicker went out. Sorry. Okay. I think now it's going. Do me a favor and look in their eyes. Okay, I think the clicker is going out. No, ma'am. Yeah, I think it didn't probably, I think I didn't push too much. Do we have any questions? Thank you. I know we talked about a lot, and law enforcement is very, very, very broad. It's a lot that we do. It's a lot that we see.
Anybody want to ask a question? I'd like to ask you about the ViCAP that you talked about.
Yes, yes.
What is that?
ViCAP is Violent Apprehension Program. Here you have the FBI with a massive database. So every violent offender goes into this big database. And from that big database, we have what you call the behavior unit, Criminal Minds, the show, Criminal Minds. These individuals determine why, what, how. A million questions is generated, and then they spit it all out for you. One example, real quickly, I had a serial rapist and a serial killer, okay? We went to every scene where everybody was dumped. I filled out all of these forms for the behavior unit. They do fly down on their jets. They do walk the scenes and look at it. They say, I'll be back with you in 3 days. In 3 days, they came back and said, we already know that your killer is an African-American male because of witnesses. He has a job, gainfully employed, either living at home with his family or has a home, has no criminal history, and you will find him here. And it was a little bitty dot in this big, gigantic map, and we all fell out laughing. And we ended up finding out that LaMarcus worked for Papacitos. He was a waiter. He worked part-time at Whataburger. He had a family. He had children. He had a criminal history, not that bad, living in the dot. The serial rapist, no criminal history. Football coach, worked for a cold storage, and part-time as a pizza delivery guy. That's how he got his victims. He had the pizza thing on the top and a pizza box in the seat. Roll the window down, you want to ride? Oh, okay, you look. So that's what ViCAP does. It takes all of the information that you're gathering, process it, and tell me the why to my word of what? Evilness.
How long did it take from you to get from patrol to homicide detective?
A while. And one of the reasons why, you have to do your tour and patrol when you graduate from the academy, okay? So that's 2 years you have to at least be a patrol officer, a minimum of 5 years before you're able to go to homicide. And it's needed. You need to get the experience. And how do you get experience? You get that experience through running calls, communicating with people. So 5 full years before you're able to make it to a specialized division.
Anybody else have questions? I guess, oh, I'm sorry.
After the 5 years experience, how long is the process for you to be able to pick where you want to go or like specialized division?
I would start thinking immediately what my interest is. Have a plan. Think about, you know that you got to do patrol. I mean, that's everybody, which is an awesome, you may not ever leave patrol. You may want to stay with it a whole career. It is just an awesome opportunity to answer calls, riding a police car is dangerous, but it's an awesome, awesome, awesome opportunity. But start processing and thinking very early what it is that you would like to do. If you think that you could be a good narcotics investigator, go for it. I was horrible buying drugs. If you think that you could be a good vice, go for it. I was horrible as a prostitute. Thank you, sir. I was absolutely. They took me into, back then it was called, well, we're all big girls, big boys. It was called the Butt Naked Club. And because the Butt Naked Club was in the area that I patrolled, which was 3rd Ward, that was the area I patrolled, I had to change the way I looked. So I put something on my hair and had it purple, and the only way to know that you have changed is to go to your mom and your dad, and I did. The Christian people that they were, they're like, can I help you? And I knew I did it because they didn't recognize me. And I was night shift, and I didn't stay in Vice very long. I went through that rotation that they asked me to go through for the fresh face, and it was a members-only place. You knock on the door, the guy peep through, and he'll let me in, and then I say, this is my boyfriend. That's the only way he could get in, because they'll let the females in, but the guys have to pay a membership. There's something weird back then. And then when you walked in, literally, it was exactly what it was, a butt-naked club. And they were just a-dancing, and then you had the little couches, and my guy, we were there for underage drinking, number one. Number two, the prostitution, and you're not making the cases then. What you're doing, you're building enough to go in with a search warrant. So every case that you go through, in other words, somebody is offering you for a change of money to do something ugly, and then you make an agreement on it, but then you back out of it. Or you'll go and you'll see that they're selling underage alcohol to minors, so you're building up enough. By the time you get a search warrant in there, you're going to find all types of things, illegal drugs, illegal alcohol. So, no, Vice is a great opportunity. CID, gangs, wow. That would be a great opportunity for you while you're young, is to get into a gang, get into the gang unit, and infiltrate those gangs. And we're talking Mexican Mafia all the way down, because there's different levels that you can go as far as being in a gang unit. Those areas, I just knew it wasn't for me. And I think God guided me to where he wanted me to be, and homicide is that. How are we doing? Okay. Okay, a few more minutes. Is it working? Yeah, okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. She's still missing. We haven't found her body. This is the serial killer that I was telling you about, LaMarcus McWilliams. It was very difficult for me to catch him because he would change his identity. This is all of the times that he's changed who he was. This is a young man that had the scale adjusters on his arm. And these are all of the victims. Some survived and some did not. We talk about ViCAP, and we were asking about what is ViCAP and how important it is for us. Coral Eugene Watts came through Houston, and we ended up placing a lot of cases against him as well. Going back and looking at what Coral Eugene Watts did in the mid-'80s up to the early '90s was very, very important because of me being in cold case now. But he's also a ruthless serial killer. He said that he probably killed up to 100 individuals, all women. This is the Domino's pizza guy that I was telling you about. And even on the ViCAP, they're able to provide us with alerts. So I work closely with Houston FBI and Quantico, when we get cases like that, they'll send that to me, and then if it's locally, then we're able to see whether or not the timeline from which that person committed that crime meets what we do here in our region. So now I'm looking at the serial killers and the mindset. I'm tracking to see whether or not they had any time here as well. Bobby Lee Long, and that's what the great thing about going through serial killing classes and understanding the mindset, it gives you an idea of the classifications, who's organized, who's disorganized, who's a mixed serial killer. Otis Toll. These are all the individuals that came through our Houston area. I'm in cold case now, guys. I'm enjoying it. I'm transitioning now toward the end of my career, and I'm loving doing what I'm doing because I bring back some of these old cases, such as the Lovers Lane case, the infamous Lovers Lane case, where Atkinson and Cheryl Henry were found murdered with their throats slashed. I don't think I'm getting close, but I think I'm getting a lot closer than they were back in 1990. I'm claiming that I'm going to solve this case here. And then I'm trying for Forever. On a drive-by shooting, she did not have to die like this, so I'm working very hard on Forever's case. I've written the campus crimes because, again, we're having a lot of problems on that campus, including serial cases. I thank you guys for just taking the time out to just listen, and I hope that you find your purpose in life. I hope that you take that next step towards going into law enforcement and doing something great, and I definitely invite you guys to join our department, the Houston Police Department. Thank you so much.